All right, so let's pivot into the next pick. We picked Immanuel Quickley at 25 in the first round. Now, can you give us a little bit of information on Quickley? Was he a reach at 25? Do you think this was a good pickup by the Knicks?
I think he was a decent pickup. I feel like we probably could have got a better guard at 25.
Who would you have picked at 25 that was still available? I think Terry was still there. There was a few players still.
I can't. I think Malachi Flynn was available at 25, I believe. I'm not sure if he went right before 25 or right after.
Or right after?
Yeah, but I know Malachi Flynn is somebody I had my eyes on.
He was on your draft board?
Yeah, he can pretty much do the same thing as Quickley, but he's a better defender. He's a little bit smaller though.
What's Quickley? 6'3"?
I believe Quickley's like 6'3", yeah.
All right.
6'3", 6'4".
Yeah, he's 6'3".
Yeah, Quickley coming out of high school. Quickley was I believe he was the number 1 point guard coming out of high school. Like he was like really recruited really highly. And his freshman year in Kentucky, he didn't really do much. You know, like Ashton Hagans came and took over that team when it was really supposed to be Quickley's team. So that kind of made me like down on Quickley a little bit. But then during his sophomore season, he came back a much better player. You can tell he was a leader on that team. He's SEC Player of the Year. You know, he was knocking down threes, making big shots, knocking down big free throws. So he showed me that he can develop a lot. Like I think he's still getting better. I don't think he's nowhere near his max potential. So that jump from freshman to sophomore year just showed me like he was in the gym working. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to get better. He wants to get better. So I'm excited about that. I don't know if he's the answer at guard for us.
That's exactly the question I was going to ask you next. Is he going to be the answer at point guard? Let me right into it.
I don't think he's going to be the answer at guard in the future, but I think he'll be a solid player for us. If he continues to develop in the pace that he's developing in college, he could be the answer, but everybody in the NBA is exceptional, like especially the point guard position. You know what I'm saying? I can't really see him being someone that's going up against Damian Lillard or Steph Curry and Kyrie. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So.
But do you think he could be maybe, you know, instead of a top 10 point guard, you think he could maybe at some point maybe become like 20 to 10 or 10 to 20 in that range? Maybe like a second tier starting caliber point guard?
Maybe. I think that's probably like
his ceiling?
Yeah, I think that's his ceiling, like that right there. I'm not sure if I expect that from him. I expect him to be a good role player. You know, like we even need a point guard, like a dominant point guard, like someone that's gonna lead our team and have us feel like we have one of those guys. You know what I'm saying?
Like could take over at any point.
Yeah, I don't think he's one of those guys. I think he's a formidable player, but probably a role player, backup point guard. You know what I'm saying? Backup point guard on a good team. I think that's the ceiling for him.
All right, and that pretty much answers my next question. Go ahead, Em. Go ahead.
But you mentioned that he showed some clutch moments in college. Do you think he can be one of the players who we have in our fourth quarter as the Knicks?
Absolutely.
You know, one of the closing out games for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Just off the simple fact that he can shoot and he can make free throws like at a high rate. You know what I'm saying? Like his free throw percentage, I believe in college was like high 80s or high up in the 90s or something like that. So I think. I'm not sure his first year because, like I said, we have so many guards.
Yeah.
You know, but he's a clutch player. He's shown that he's a clutch player. He's not scared in the moment. You know what I'm saying? He's a big time player. Then he played at Kentucky, so it's like a pro producing school. So
True.
I know Calipari's like he taught them guys how to show up in big moments and not be scared of the moment. So I think in the future, I think at some point he may be able to. But it also depends on the moves we make. You know, if we make pretty good moves and we get other guards or whatever. So I think it depends on who we draft, what free agents we get, what trades we make. So.
All right, cool. Thanks.
So do you think we could ever maybe move RJ to the 3 and maybe Quickley could become a starting 2 as opposed to maybe a 1? Or is he too undersized to legitimately be a everyday shooting guard?
I mean, he can be it too. You look at Portland, CJ McCollum, but he's not on like CJ McCollum's level or Damian Lillard's level. So I'd
You
rather
said
him
he
be a
wasn't on
point guard.
Lillard's level. I was trying to see if he's at least maybe, at McCollum, who's like a tier below.
Nah,
But I
he's
guess
not.
no, not that either.
Nah, not that either. I'd rather him be a point guard. Honestly, he's got good size. He can knock down three. Pretty good pick and roll player. I mean,
So he's a decent facilitator because his assists were down in Kentucky.
well, that's because the ball was in Ashton Hagen's hand. He
Okay.
played
See,
the two at Kentucky, but
that's
they
why I
both
have
were
you
like,
on.
yeah, they both were like combo guards. You know what I'm saying? Like either one can bring the ball up, either one can start the offense, either one can push in the transition. So it didn't really matter with them. In the NBA, I think he'll be best suited as a point guard. I think that the two guards are too big for him, too strong for him. But I mean, if we do decide to go small ball, I think he can. I mean, RJ's natural position is small forward. He's a 6'8" guy. Like he's a small forward in the league. But I think Quickley would be best suited as a point guard, honestly.
All right, so that's a good explanation as to why he didn't have high assist numbers. I didn't know he was more so off ball on Kentucky as opposed to being the primary distributor. That's
And
good to know.
he's off the ball most of the time.
Okay, but because of his size issues, he wouldn't be able to really hold down the two position in the NBA. Makes sense. All
I
right,
mean,
so
to me,
go
he
ahead.
wouldn't be. To me, he wouldn't be able to. But like I say, he's 6'3". That's not that small. It's just not as big as the other guys, but that's not that small. I mean, he can play it every once in a while, but to be a starting two guard, he would have to cause some
Bulk
type of,
up.
huh?
You have to bulk up a little bit or something.
Yeah, he'll have to bulk up and he'll have to get better on offense. Like he'll have to be some type of matchup problem for the defender. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like so, it has to. One thing
So
has to
maybe
help
in a
the other.
small ball lineup,
Maybe in
primarily.
small, yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Yeah, because
So
if you look at the Knicks shooting guards' heights, 6'7", 6'6", 6'7", like they're 3 to 4 inches taller than him, and that's just
Yeah.
on the Knicks.
Man, that's almost a standard shooting guard height.
yeah, Kobe
Some
was
teams have
6'6".
smaller, most teams have smaller guard. I mean, bigger two guards. Some teams have smaller two guards, but those smaller two guards are like matchup nightmares. Like they can take people off the dribble. They can really score the ball. So it helps them. And Quickly's favor, I'm not sure if he's that guy.
All right, understandable. So the next player that the Knicks, they didn't necessarily draft him, but they signed him, is Myles Powell. He's a player a lot of people didn't really know too much about. I mean, if you watch Seton Hall, you kind of knew about him because you watched his games. But me, I didn't necessarily watch Seton Hall. So what could you tell
Yeah.
me about Myles Powell?
Miles is a big time scorer.
Instant
Big
offense.
time scorer. Yeah, he's like the James Harden of the Big East. He's he's a tri-state kid. So like if you're like in the grassroots of New York City and New Jersey or whatever, like Myles Powell. You pretty much root for Myles Powell. You know what I'm saying? You expect him to come in and if he gets his chance, I expect him to be on the Knicks like for a decent amount of time. Or even if he's not on the Knicks, I expect him to be in the NBA. Just off the simple fact that he can really shoot the ball, he can really score the ball. He doesn't need anyone to set him up. He can score off the dribble. He can score off screens. He can do a lot of different things as far as scoring. I think that the problem with him is his size and his defensive abilities. Like he's almost a shooting guard trapped in a point guard's body. He never really showed he can defend at Seton Hall. His job was to score, and that's what he did at a high rate. Um, he was a volume shooter, but in college it's different though because he was the guy. He was the number one guy. Everyone knew that it was going to be him to get the last shot, to put up the most shots. So most defenses keyed in on him. You know what I'm saying? The scouting report was mainly based on him. and he still was able to put up 30s, and you know what I'm saying. So he can really score the ball. I'm excited about having him.
So in the NBA, they won't be game planning for Myles Powell. They'll be worried about Randall. They'll be worried about RJ.
Yeah,
So he'll be able to
absolutely.
he'll be able to do what he needs to do. So with Powell, do you think he's going to actually get a roster spot starting, or you think he'll end up in the G League originally?
I think he's gonna have to work his way up, especially with Tibbs. He's gonna have to work his way up. I hope he gets a fair chance. All these guards that we got now, it doesn't really look too good for him.
Yeah.
But if you look at Alonzo Trier coming into the season, no one expected him to do anything. You know, no one expected him to play. But the fact that Alonzo Trier can really score and can handle the ball and get to the basket and shoot and do all these different things as far as scoring, I think Myles can possibly do the same thing.
The funny part is they went and got rid of Trier and then brought in the duplicate.
Yeah. Trier was pretty big, though. I think Trier was like 6'5", though.
Trier was a bigger, okay, larger player.
Yeah, he was bulky too. So he Trier was different than Myles, but I expect Myles to come in, and if he can run the one, he can facilitate, he can defend a little bit, and just knock down open shots. I think Myles can find his way in the league. You know, I think Myles.
So
The fact that Myles can really shoot, I think that'll help him. Like, I feel like there's a spot on every team for a shooter.
Makes sense. So what do you think his ceiling could be? Just a role player? You don't necessarily see him eventually being good enough or consistent enough to be a starter?
I don't know. No, because it really depends on his development. Like some players are better in college. You know, like some players are like college players and better in college, but some players' games they don't really do as much in college, but their games transition to the NBA a lot better. You know what I'm saying?
So let me switch it up then. So if everything clicks, right? If everything goes right, even though we know it probably won't, if everything goes right, do you think he could potentially be a legitimate starter in the NBA, even if it's not with the Knicks? If he could just be a starting caliber player in the league, or do you think his limit is just a legit solid role player?
I think he'll be a role player. I can't really see. I mean, I can see him starting, but I don't see him defending enough to start. You know, I don't see him being able to guard the point guard position enough to start. His scoring ability, his offensive ability, his talent is crazy. Like, he has a lot of talent. He can really score. But I don't know. Like, if you look at the starting point guards in the league, like, everybody's stacked. You look even De'Aaron Fox, Trae Young, you know, like Jamal Murray.
But what about people like Kemba, who's short and can't really play defense, but they can score like crazy?
Kemba can guard a little bit. Kemba can guard better than Myles.
Defense, offense is literally go to him. Whoever he's guarding, that person gets the ball. Yeah, if you watch the playoffs, that's how it went.
Yeah, but you can't really compare Kemba to Myles. So Kemba is different. Like, Kemba is better all around than Myles. Like, it's even offensively. You know what I'm saying? Kemba can take over a game, an NBA game. I don't know if Myles can take over an NBA game. Probably go in there, maybe hit like 3 or 4 threes.
And call it.
You know?
Yeah, like Kemba. This was a good day.
Yeah.
Coach, take me out so I don't mess it up.
It's too many guards in the league. It's just too many guards in the league. I don't see him being that starting guard. Like, I think if like you said, if everything goes right, if he develops, if he gets stronger, if he gets quicker, you know, and if he learns how to run the point guard position, he never really had to. You know, even in high school, he was a 2-guard. AAU, he was a 2-guard. College, you know, he never really had to call plays and set stuff up. You know, his job was always just to score, just go get a bucket. You know,
you got me a little nervous because it sounded like you explaining Jimmy Fredette. So we got the urban version of Jimmy Fredette. Just get buckets and can't play no D.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that.
That's what it was sounding to me. But he's a little bit more polished, is what you're saying. Because Jimmy got buckets. But I don't know why he couldn't make it in the league. I'm like, that was crazy.
Myles did it at a higher level competition than Jimmer.
Okay.
Jimmer would be at BYU. You know, they ain't really they played some teams, but they ain't really played really like pros night in, night out. Like Myles was in the Big East. They played pros night in, night out. You know what I'm saying? So
all right, that makes sense.
The thing about Myles is that the Knicks had him here listed as shooting guard.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So they expect him to go in and get buckets. I think
so they know what it is.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to come in and be like a microwave. You know what I'm saying? He come in, put up a couple points, and then probably take him back. I don't see him being a starting guard, not like that. No, he don't defend enough.
All right. Gotcha. If you got any more questions about Powell?
Nah, it's just my concern that like all the things that we said about Immanuel Quickley not being able to play the 2 guard because he's 6'3", yet we have Myles Powell listed as shooting guard at 6'2".
It don't make sense.
Hashtag Knicks logic.
Yeah. I mean, well,
all right. So go ahead.
Listed as he was coming out of high school. Quickley was listed as a point guard. At Kentucky, was listed as a point guard. It's just that they had another point guard who was better at facilitating than Quickley, and Quickley was a better scorer. So it was pretty much 2 point guards on the floor at the same time. Quickley wasn't really he played the two, but they interchanged though. It depends on whoever's closest to the ball, whoever's bringing the ball up at that time. So
got it.
It was like Phil Jackson. He don't like that term point guard. It's just the lead guard.
Yeah, whoever's there, like whoever's there, bring the ball up. It don't matter.
All my stress.